Welcome back. Now, in this episode, I'm going to answer your question, is buying vacant land a good investment? You're going to find out it really is, and that's where people like to get started. So I'm going to answer that question, and I'll actually even show you some examples as we go along. All right, now vacant land is everywhere, but I like to buy at tax defaulted auctions. And why do I do that? Because I know these are unwanted properties. They're certainly unwanted by the county, so the county will sell them for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, sometimes less. And there's people that buy vacant land and they just walk away from it and they just stop paying it. So either way, the county will seize those properties, they'll actually confiscate them, and they'll put them up for auction, and they sell them at very low prices. Now, most investors that go to the auction are looking for houses. I understand that, or maybe industrial property or office buildings, what have you. I don't mind buying residential land or vacant land. Why? Because you're going to be able to get it so cheap. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I think you'll learn a lot. All right, so this can be massively popular and massively profitable in both cases because the normal person isn't looking at it the way we are. We're going to try to buy it for pennies, 60, 70, 80% discount. Then we're going to sell it and make a nice margin. And if we want to add to that margin, we might even use an installment sale. So let's learn both of those things today, and you'll see that this can be tremendously popular. All right, now, who could you sell vacant land to? You could sell it to developers. They might want to put an industrial park. They might want to put a housing in there. They might want to make a park out of it. I don't know what they want to make out of it, but if it's close enough to a city, well, of course, vacant land could be popular. If it's out in the countryside, you're probably going to have to find a farmer that wants to graze on it. Probably not going to be quite so profitable. The point is, know what your exit strategy is before you buy that property. So my name is Ted Thomas. I've been involved in the tax lien and deed business for over 30 years. I'll be right back. Okay, this lesson is all about, is buying vacant land a good investment? My answer is going to be definitely yes. Now, I started out with single family homes in the neighborhoods where I lived. I grew that to buying with investors, 100-unit apartment properties, office buildings, and even bigger apartment properties. All right, those are all good businesses, but nothing compares with tax lien and tax deed business because we have such a big margin in the business to get us started. In other words, we're going to buy at wholesale, 60, 70, 80% discounts. Those are huge discounts from the retail market. That's going to be our margin. We're going to have a huge margin to get going. So you're going to find that this vacant land, about 25% of all the auction properties are going to be vacant or residential land. I like that kind of market because I have so much markup and I don't have a lot of competition. So you want to keep that in the back of your mind. You definitely want to learn how to do this. Before I finish, I'll show you an example of how to make money and how to sell it. So rule number one, what do we want to do? We want to buy at the right price. That means let's not pay retail. Let's buy at wholesale. And I say wholesale and then some, because vacant land will sell for 60, 70, and 80% discount from the retail price. So that's a really good price to start. Now, all real estate depends upon the location. So I talked to you about price, you got that. Now let's talk a little bit about the location. You want to make sure of where you're buying that. Now, if you're buying out in the middle of Kansas, you're not going to turn that into a residential homes. You're not going to turn that into industrial. So you need to know what the location is. All right, you don't want to buy where there's pig farms and things like that nearby. Why? Because people won't buy where there's odors and so on. So you need to understand location. So number one, I know you're going to get a good price. How are you going to get that? You're going to go to the auction. Number two, you're going to have to use your skill now. And your skill is this, that you're going to have to look at that and see what the location is and what you're going to do with that property. Lots of ways to sell these properties, okay? Now, there'll be between 3,000 and 5,000 tax defaulted auctions this year. All right, those auctions are going to sell properties at wholesale values. You need to say, all right, I'm going to buy there, but I'm going to sell it back into the retail market. So you can use Craigslist. You could use any number of electronic sites. You could definitely use the multiple listing system. I could go on and on. You could use Facebook Marketplace. You could use just regular signs. The point is, you're going to have to sell it, and you're going to sell it where you have enough margin. Now, I like to buy it low at the auction and then sell it low and get myself a generous profit. You're going to be able to do the same thing. Now, this map shows 3,000 counties. It doesn't show the municipalities, but that's 3,000 auctions every year. So that means there's going to be an abundance. There's going to be plenty for everybody. So all of you can get involved with this. All right. Now, they're going to auction single family homes, apartments, office buildings, all that. All right. I'm talking about vacant land and residential land today. All right. These auctions will have 20 or 25% of all the properties at the auction are going to be residential land. So, or they're going to be vacant land. Both of those are going to be good buys if you know what your exit strategy is. If you don't have an exit strategy, then you're going to have to hold on to it. So, of course, if you see the community is moving in a direction and you can buy it for pennies, well, then you might want to hold on that way. I like to make my money relatively quickly, but there's a lot of people that know how to buy and wait a short time. And during that time, they're willing to accept payments on their property. So that gives them another way to sell the property. All right, now I don't make the rules. The rules are made by the legislature. The legislature demands that all property owners pay property tax. Now they send that demand down to the county board of supervisors or the board of commissioners, and the board of commissioners has a tax collector and of course the treasurer, and they not only levy taxes, but they try to collect taxes. If they can't collect them, they're going to confiscate the property. If they confiscate it, now what are they going to do with it? They're going to put it out to auction at a 60, 70, 80% discount from the tax assessed value. That's going to be the place that you're going to want to buy those. Now remember, when they pick these properties up, they didn't go up and actually pick the property up and drive it down, put it in a parking lot. They picked up the paperwork to it. They left the property right where it was, but they basically confiscate the property. So the tax collector is allowed to do that and was authorized and mandated to do that by the legislature of the state. All right, the property owner loses their property. They're evicted from the property. They lost their privilege because they didn't pay their tax. All right, now what happens to all this money? Well, the money is used when they sell at the auction to pay the firefighters, to pay the police department, pay the school teachers, pay for hospitals. You're getting the idea. All those bills have to be paid, plus the county employees have to be paid. So the money from the auction and the money from taxes, that's where it goes to pay all those government services. Now, you want to buy bargain properties. Now, at a tax defaulted auction, the mortgage is wiped out. It's absolutely wiped out. The treasurer is authorized to do that. They can wipe out the mortgage. So now you're buying 60, 70% discounts, 80% discount, and with no mortgage. There's not a better way to buy. You just have to have thought out what is your exit strategy and what are you going to do with that. So I'll show you an example now of someone that just bought a few acres. And when the big concern when they buy acreage is what are they going to do with it? So let's think about the exit strategy right away. If you buy vacant land, of course you're going to put signs on it. Of course you could advertise it. Now, where are you going to advertise it? Well, think about signs. Think about Craigslist. Think about Zillow. Think about eBay. Think about Facebook Market. You need to think about how you're going to sell the property. All right. If you're going to sell it, you want to do it quickly. You want to buy it low at the auction, and then you want to sell it below the retail value so that you can sell it quickly. So I like to buy low, sell low, and get my money and go to the bank. However, that's not the only way to sell. Many of my clients, they buy it low, but they don't want to sell it. They want to get installment payments on it. So I'll show you an example where the client buys at a reasonably low price for 20, 30 cents on the dollar, and then sells for 100 cents on the dollar. What's better than that? Buy for 30 cents, sell it for 100 cents. Okay, so all that makes a big difference. So let's look at the example. So my client goes to the auction. It's tax defaulted land. There'll be no mortgage. The tax assessed value is what it is. Every property will have a tax assessed value. At auction in a competitive environment, he paid $6,000. All right, so that's about 30 cents on the dollar. All right, well, that was a pretty good purchase price. All right, you'd like to do that yourself. He was not anxious to sell because he had it in his IRA, a Roth IRA. He was happy to take payments. So he advertised it for sale, and he said he would accept a land contract. That's nothing more than a mortgage. That's an installment sale. Now let's look at the numbers together. So he sold it at very close to the tax assessed value because there's no argument because the client really wants financing. So he accepted $5,000 down. Now, if you remember, he only invested $6,000. So when he gets all said and done with the sale, he's only got $1,000 out of pocket. $1,000. He accepts a land contract. That means He's going to take installment sales, $200 a month for 120 months. That's 10 years. Wow, look at that. $24,000 on a original $6,000 investment. But now it's only a $1,000 investment because he's got almost all his money back. He's going to get $24,000 over the next 10 years. Now, folks, you can do the same thing. How do you do the same thing? You just learn how to do it. Everybody that gets involved in land learns that they can sell the land, use an installment sale, and if the people don't pay them, you still got the land. You can just keep it right there and sell it again. Perfect way for you to make money. Now it's time for me to button up this video, but below me, you'll find a free gift. I want you to go ahead and take the free gift. Now, I left out a couple of things. I want you to like the video, and I'd like you to become a subscriber. My name is Ted Thomas. I'll see you on the next video.